got through pretty scot-free and go to the second round of bans. IG need to work out what the solution is going to be to all the problems they're facing in front of themselves.
Real quick, Aux, real quick. By the end of this cast, more so on me, maybe not on you, I've written down in my notebook, I want to come up with a name for the like double soul combo that is JDG. Because right, like when this happens, the thrall comes out, which is, you know, an effigy, and then you also have the soul that remains there from okay, so that's just my little tangent. I'm sorry, I had to go off on it. I wrote it in my notebook. It's important to me, Ox, okay? We'll come up with a name for it at the end of this series, hopefully. We do get the Jax ban, though, that has to kind of be there if JDG aren't going to want to pick it. They do have the response bans in the Kennen, at least for IG, and the Gragas was banned first, at least in the second phase.
Gragas, Kennen, I mean, these are 369 picks, right, through and through, but with the Jax ban as well, it feels like Gwen's set up to be pretty powerful here if IG want to secure it, but Gnar is still open and available, and like they will just pick Gnar into it. So JDG, depends what they want to do in this situation. They could ban, they're actually going to ban the Nautilus, so denying a pretty strong support pick that obviously has point and click CC great into Zeri. Now we see what IG want to do here. I was talking about the Gwen, but I feel like you don't want to pick Gwen here. If you're going to pick it, it'll be last pick. But even then, I feel like JDG is just going to take Gnar in response to be completely fine. IG thinking of going with the Leona here with no Nautilus. Or me, yeah.
I would like to see maybe some more of that forward engage for IG, though, to some extent.
Bruh?
There's no way. There's no way. We're definitely.
Dude, we'll wait and see.
I mean, it could be. It could be. I'm not. Okay, I take back no way. Because in the LPL, it's never no way. And I, for one, would very much like to see this. But I think that, you know, looking at the way that IG's composition is working out, hey, we were looking for some tools. Maybe they found them.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any notifications. I'm not getting any notifications. So, hey, you never know.
Blind?
Okay,
Garen.
there we go. We got it. All right.
Okay. We had yeah, I didn't want to invest too much time into talking about it because it just seems so weird. Like, I feel like if you're going to pick the Garen, pick it last, dude. Like, okay, I don't think you pick the Garen, but if you're going to pick it, you pick it last. So,
this ain't Wild
probably,
Rift.
Yeah, we know where the issue has come from. Probably going to see that fourth pick change. You're going to have draft remade. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's in a rough spot for JDG. I mean, not JDG, for IG, because in my mind, you know, Gnar is open and available. Really powerful pick. We've seen teams heavily prioritizing it. I would probably just take Gnar if I was JDG on 4 and leave support counter pick. That is, in my mind, how you give yourself the best odds. I think if they take support, like, for example, let's say you take Leona, then they take Braum Gnar, right? They already have engaged with Lissandra. Gnar is going to do well in pretty much every lane. You can flip it by trying to go for, like, you know, an Aurelia, but I feel like 369 is so competent. And you know Kanavi is going to be able to lean his pressure up if needed. And now suddenly, because you have this Braum Zeri into Jinx Leona, you're never going to really have too much pressure bot, and the team fights will be excellent. So, yeah, that's my thought process. All in all, ultimately, I guess we'll see how JDG can navigate it. I'm just concerned you've left this Zeri open. I don't think they have good answers to it. I don't think they have good solutions to the Zeri problem. And like, if they take Leona, for example, you know, I guarantee Zeri just takes cleanse. And it's like, cool, right? You get on top of Zeri, she cleanses, dashes away, uses that mobility, creates space. And how are you going to answer? Like, the same applies to the charm that can come out from the Ahri. I think that's one of the issues with Zeri is that, like, because she ramps up to so much movement speed, because she has a dash as well, it can be tricky to pin it down. That's why, like, you know, when we first saw her come out, we saw teams take, like, Triss Nautilus, things like Camille Galio into her, like things that can just lock her down and not let her play the game.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, seeing some of those ban adaptations into the second game, I think when you see that pick coming through, or at least you're planning on picking it, you got to be picking the right setups, the right combos for it. And I think especially after that first game, that's where you're feeling pretty confident. This is also where in the past, I know we talk about it all the time, but in the past, this is where we've seen JDG have some positive gaming moments across the board, and you know, having a little bit of flexibility in terms of how they're playing the game and wanting to stretch the limits a little bit. But again, we've talked about it at least today, that this is the time where we're getting later in the season. That differential from V5 is pretty big, and I personally expect to start seeing these clean performances more and more from JDG if they're really gonna try to push the limit and try to get that first, second spot.
But I have some big news, right? We have now had it confirmed that Arn did pick the wrong champion. We are not seeing Garen, much to everyone's surprise.
Who knew?
Blind Garen won't be a thing today from IG.
Who knew? We have had some crazy adaptations in the top lane, but ain't gonna be Garen. Ain't gonna be Garen. So we'll see as they're gonna be remaking it to that point. It will be remaining the same until that pick of the Garen. So at least we'll have everything remaining to that extent, which means we do have the Jinx combo there with the Zeri, and as we see, we're back into it. It was actually a Gwen that they were choosing. So scissors, sword. You just separate the sword and put it on a swivel, and then I guess it's the same thing, right?
This is kind of what I expected, right? Because I was talking about the fact that Kennen is gone, Jax is gone, Gragas is okay as a neutralizer. But JDG just picked Gnar into it, right? And I think we've seen this matchup happen quite a bit recently where Gnar will really apply that early pressure and scale him to being a monster. Gnar's super strong right now, so I think JDG are fine. That being said, something I do like is that IG picked that top laner and leave counter pick, because they were toying with the idea of Leona, they were exploring options. I think if you blinded support as IG, the game is over. I'm going to be real. That sounds very negative, but I think it puts them in a real big hole. Whereas now, JDG are toying with the idea of taking this for Khan. IG could pick a lane to really pressure out. Like, Jinx does trade well into most champions. They're actually going to go for the Yuumi. So there's two aspects to this, right? One, this is hyper scaling for the side of JDG. But what would you typically pick in the Yuumi lanes? The best answer is Nautilus, because you press R, locks them down, nothing they can do. You get 2 kills for 1. IG are going to try and decide what they're going to take. It looks like they want to take an engaged support to try and punish this. We'll see what they have up their sleeve.
Alistair was banned out, and I wonder if we do. Okay, it's just gonna be fine. All right. Well, it is still that engage. It is something to say for Wink, at least in terms of a difference of playstyle compared to Lulu. But I will say that Yuumi, looking more in depth at it, matches so devastatingly well with this combo that JDG have drafted. Right, you have so much mobility from all the members of JDG, with missing right alongside them. You have Kanavi that's going to be able to be invisible with him missing on top. The engages that'll come through from Yagao and 369. Missing has so many options here, and it's a perfect tie into the rest of the composition for JDG.
And it's a fact that JDG feel confident to bring out this blind Yuumi and not feel like they're going to be punished. I guarantee Hope will have cleanse, right? We'll have exhaust from missing as well, so a lot of the threats will be shut down. And I just feel like if IG don't stomp JDG's bot lane to the ground, this game is going to become exceptionally hard as we go deeper and deeper into it. I feel like JDG's composition, they have good matchups in top, a very good matchup top, very good matchup in the mid jungle, and bot lane you scale like crazy against. That's the problem with Leona, is that cleanse is just such a big counter. Now I'm not saying that there can't be windows to find it. If a strong Leona is playing in this situation, I could definitely see them find windows, but I'm just concerned that Hope and Missing, being the stronger bot lane, will just not allow themselves to get pressured.
And a couple things for me is looking at Mole again, seeing what he's going to do to actually get involved on the Ahri this time around. But specifically Shun, again, I said at the beginning of the draft, or beginning of this second game, gotta see the pickup. You gotta see the redemption arc come through for this jungler and find some way against JDG, as game 2 of this best of 3 between JDG and IG kicks off now.
Yep, and no surprise, cleanse for Hope, exhaust for Missing, even heal as well, so no ignite. So playing very defensive summoners, really just wants to mitigate any pressure. And for the side of Kanavi, can kind of play through his strong solo laners. Bot lane may need some support at times, but I think they should be really comfortable in the position they're in. Also, something to note is Mole has gone for the TP with Spellbook. So we either see cleanse with Spellbook or TP with Spellbook from Ahri's typically. It's if you take cleanse, you'll have that cleanse more frequently available, because obviously with Summoner Spellbook, you have to rotate summoners. And it means you always have that response to the Lissandra, whereas if you have TP, you only occasionally have the cleanse. So Mole will want to rotate cleanse for when Yagao hits level 6, but there's no guarantee to have it in every team fight, and that lockdown could be so threatening.
And something else I want to look at here is obviously the early vision game from IG into the JDG pit, but they knew it was coming. They're just going to stack bodies here, make sure everything's nice and hunky-dory for Kanavi. But the biggest thing for me is the same focus, at least in terms of pathing for both these junglers, but that's also where you got to keep an eye out for some of those unique paths that we've seen both these junglers try and take, and that we know is a staple of their jungling, is trying to find the best edge at every little moment.
Yeah, we saw a lot of back and forth in game one where Shun was trying to invade. Kanavi was trying to invade first, and Shun got some counter invades in. A lot of back and forth there, trying to find the advantages, but it really felt like JDG were the ones in control of these neutral objectives. And now looking for some pressure on a Mole.
Level 2 gank mid. Does just dodge out of it from Mole, so nice little move.
But it's so annoying because it's like, okay, well, you don't die, but you've just been chunked out, right? It's not like Yagao outplayed you and found some harass. You just lose your health because Kanavi's being annoying. I find those so frustrating, as like if you're playing lanes and that ends up happening. But now Kanavi might have overstepped. You're level down.
Yeah, I guess level 3 up the last chicken. Oof. Shun didn't really want to let that go, and actually trying to force a little bit of play there, but I think Kanavi comes out a little bit happier with that pressure. He'll also make his way first towards mid. We're going to replay a bot lane here. See what happened down there as the engage actually came through. Nice little combo, actually. We're looking topside, though, as the 2v2's brewing. 369, he ain't got Mega Gnar anywhere near it, and Kanavi is in some trouble. He goes over the wall. Shun goes for the kill and first blood for IG, but it's quickly returned and then returned again. It's 2 for 1.
I mean, IG's so happy with that. They win the 2v2 quite convincingly. As you said, no Mega for 369 in mini form, and Zika just got so much sustained damage in that fight. Shun as well, coming in full HP. And in the bot lane, we see Summoner's Burn, right? I was talking about how, like, one of the problems is, like, Leona cleanse really counters you. The fact that that's down now gives you more of a window. And 369 jumps in and Mega times out, so doesn't get the stun off. And then you see Kanavi is getting focused here. 369 maintaining distance. And they're able to do so much damage here. And yes, they do get the kill on the Shun. It would be devastating if they didn't. But a massive, massive win for IG there.
You'll take that all day long. It's been a little bit of that redemption here, at least early on for Shun. Gotta get the ball rolling, though. And Zika will have a bit of that priority in topside here. We'll get the TP from Mole into mid lane to try and keep up good graces and see where next, I guess, JDG are looking for, right? We got to see that level 2 gank in mid lane, the early proactivity from Kanavi. That's been pretty big in game 2, but it's been responded to nicely, and I think that's big for IG.
Absolutely, and I'm hoping, like, this is how they can find an advantage in this game. If they're getting momentum in these side lanes, that they're finding advantages. So more of this would be ideal. It is 30 seconds until that first dragon. We have seen really early dragons recently in the LPL. That's been quite a hallmark, is, you know, 5-6 minute dragons. Trying to get that advantage and then be able to swap up the herald and have plenty of time for it. So it'll be interesting to see if either team goes for it. Right now, you can see IG have a decent amount of vision control in the bot side with that scuttle, with that ward. And they're pushing him very aggressively to challenge Kanavi here. Catch him on a rotation towards his crow.
This is what we've been talking about. Those aggressive paths. Where can you find a chink in the armor? And here we go on to Kanavi. This is not looking good. And another kill to IG. Yagao is all by himself too. Hope missing. They aren't even close. And Yagao with the heals. That's huge. I don't know if the burn's going to be enough. Doesn't look like enough. And he takes the claw. He is out of there. But Kanavi takes another death.
Really nice pick set up from IG, and with that, they should just be able to turn onto the dragon. Unfortunately, they don't get Yagao as well. Obviously, the Yuumi coming in to save, but still a really positive play. And I love that we're seeing this aggression come out. We highlighted the jungle matchup, and Shun is doing everything he can to establish dominance in this one. And you can see top lane. Yeah, you know, I talked about how the Gnar is like a perfectly fine matchup into the Gwen. Because of that early fight, 369 is starting to fall behind quite significantly.
And that'll be something we have to keep an eye out, right? I think the big setup for 369, if you find like obviously a big Mega Gnar ulti in the team fight, this can be huge. But you already stated, right? The side lane pressure and the side lane presence is going to be so important for both these two teams. So I want to see how that plays out with neutral objectives, as we do see Kanavi hovering around the dragon pit would be the early ocean dragon for them. But we also do have Rift Herald up in about 2 minutes, so at least we have the early focus for neutral objectives from JDG.
Yeah, so just the timings of how everything panned out. JDG get that first dragon, which they're going to be absolutely happy with. Obviously, just alleviate some pressure. But, you know, remember, game 1, they stacked up 4 in quick succession. Opportunity for that again, potentially. But still, you know, it's a lead for IG. They're in a good spot. I need to see them continue this. The next objective is Herald that they want to play for. And I feel like it's really important that they sort of set up for that one effectively. Something to note is, as I said, Mole has switched to the cleanse with the spell book. So this is something that you want when you're getting invested into these skirmishes, so you can get away from your Yagao. You don't get locked into that ultimate, because obviously the biggest strength of Ahri is the mobility. If you get locked in place, can't really use any of that.
And speaking of that mobility, this is what exactly what I wanted to see from Mole in the second game, because he was trying his darndest on the Silas in those games, try to be mobile, try to be efficient. But here on the Ahri, it feels like he's got a little bit more tools to dip dive and get in, get out. And even in the early game before that level 6, he has been proactive.
Yeah, just a continuation is important. Now, bot lane is starting to find prio for IG. If they can get the shove in and then swap up towards the Herald, that'd be really nice. Or bare minimum send Wink there and try and make that happen. About 30 seconds away, so still got town now. But you can see Hope and Missing really contesting on the trades against them and trying to harass wherever they can.
I don't think there's much that's going to come of it. I see Kanavi actually hovering towards this mid lane. Not going to be spotted out on anything. Claw in the double CC root. That cleanse coming through. Clutch for Mole. Don't know if it's going to be enough to burn or enough. The Thrall comes through. And JDG respond with their own.
Yeah, really smart from Yagao as well, because he knows Cleanse comes out, obviously, to get him out of his ultimate, but then he ignites after. Cleanse would remove the ignite damage, so the burn comes in. It's enough to take out Mole. Obviously, you burned the Cleanse of Mole, so that's not going to be available for a while due to it being a spellbook summoner, and it allows the pressure for Kanavi to lean up towards his top side, steal away these Krugs. Maybe threaten Zika if he oversteps a bit more, but nothing really to come for it now.
I like that Shun is able to, you know, aggressively path to try to cut something off here from Kanavi. Do you see that Rift Herald up and available now on the board? See if Shun wants to use that gap of pressure to kind of take this objective and maybe find at least a little bit of resources somewhere on the map for themselves. It does look like he's starting that one up.
And it looks like JDG not really contesting this one. You actually see, well, Kanavi went for a reset and is heading straight over. I mean, IG are rushing this down, so it may just be gone before he even gets there. Pings are coming out. They know this is happening, and they really want to try and stop it. But the rest of the team need to move. And look, bot lane is moving up for IG already. This is a bit poor from JDG.
It is. I think they realize what position they're in. They realize they need to get out of there. They back up. Ah, man. Should have got it.
Just a bit sloppy, right? You just... You don't check to make sure the objective's going on soon enough. Kanavi resets and so isn't there. And then when you know it's going down, you even move your bot lane up. Like, Hope and Missing could have crashed bot lane and taken a plate, but because they make the call so late, they also match the roam, and IG just get the Herald for free. So good play from IG, but a little bit wishy-washy from JDG.
It is indeed. Not as clean as we were seeing from game number 1, but that's expected, right? I mean, you expect a little bit of punch back, not just go quietly in the night for IG. So it's little positives that are coming through for the second game here so far. It is also Divine Sunderer completed about 9:52, I believe, for Shun. So nice little power spike there early on, and that'll mean that he can press up in presence around this dragon that's spawning in about 1:15.
Yeah, absolutely. You see level 6 now achieved for both lanes, the bot lane. I feel like Yuumi on Zeri, the ult is so threatening, because obviously Zeri can reposition quite well, use that movement speed, continually layer the damage down. So do have to be a little bit wary of that one. Now they are looking for something here.
Lightning crashes. Oh, Ultra Shock Laser goes a little bit wide. The final chapter goes through, but Shun shows up just in time. The Solar Flare, the Mega Death Rocket goes wide. Here comes Kanavi to respond. They don't really find anything is on, getting lower and lower. Ultra Shock Laser goes wide yet again.
A lot burn, and I feel like, you know, JDG see a window to trade heavily, but they overcommit so much, right? Not respecting the fact Shun could be there. And they're fortunate to live, not just because obviously you don't want to die in League of Legends, but also with Shun having the Herald, if they had gone down there, would have been a quick Herald into a full tower take. So IG don't manage to get quite as much as they would have hoped, but you can look, summoners all burn on the bot lane, and Kanavi loses his flash.
And if you looked in the picture-in-picture, there was actually a flash by 369 as well. A couple summoner spells.
Everyone's flashing.
Everyone's flashing. It's a flash party. JDG making a party around Dragon Pit, though. And Shun just walking straight up. I thought the trigger was going to get pulled there, but it doesn't. Ultra Shock Laser gets a little bit of poke down. Now IG will storm in to represent around this dragon.
Yeah, and Yagao's looking here.
A little bit more damage. Over the wall, Yagao goes with the Frozen Tomb onto Mole, but Mole survives, goes right back in. Kanavi's dead.
Great CC coming out to stop Kanavi from the follow-up. If he had connected onto Mole, remember, locked in place with the ultimate. Oh, and another charm. Mole doing so well here. Won't lead to anything, but he's just connecting with these skill shots so frequently. And as soon as Kanavi goes down, you don't have that same reset power. JDG end up having to give up pressure on the river. Herald will come down mid and take 3 plates. So everything's going fantastic for IG so far.
That's so huge as a turnaround, not only in confidence, but in momentum for IG. As now they also take their first dragon of the game here. Infernal Dragon will be nice. As it has been really, really incredible to see how mobile Mole has been to enable Shun.
And I was concerned about him playing into this Ahri, about the pressure that could come out. Playing into Lissandra, about the pressure that could come out in return. You know, without cleanse, you can be vulnerable. But it's been finding these angles, making it work effectively. And we'll see the replay. So we see Yagao go in for the CC onto Mole. And it's the charm that he gets before he gets ulted. That means Kanavi can't follow up with a burst. So Mole doing what he can to save himself.
That was actually so clutch at the last second there. And we saw Shun, as we said, kind of gapped in game number 1. That's 0-3 now for Kanavi early in this game. That's huge as a difference maker for IG in terms of how they play around the map, because now Shun has that aggression, has that confidence to play. And on the Wukong, it's feeling a lot better.
Yeah, being fed on Wukong makes all the difference now. One thing to mention is the goldie for IG isn't that significant. You know, it's only about 500. It's not super major at this point. There's still a lot to be done if they're going to be in a convincing position for this game. I still have concerns about, you know, the scaling of the Zeri Yuumi. So severe, but it's a good start, much better than game 1, and that's the important thing for now.
That is always the important thing. The Hextech Gaming over to bot lane, quick and easy. Lemon squeezy. They're in the bot lane. They're on to Hope and missing. Hope is down and missing, quickly missing after.
Yeah, beautiful play coming in, using those Hex Gates effectively, giving no chance to respond. And that's the great thing about playing into a Yuumi. If you get that lockdown, it's just buy one, get one free. 2 kills for the effort of 1, quick in succession. You can see the CC instantly came out and missing, so he couldn't reattach to Yagao. And now, I was talking about how it's about a 500 gold lead. They take that tower in the bot lane, and it's just blown it open to about 2,500.
14.5 minutes in, just after the plates do fall off. We'll get a replay of that last one, and the quick gaming skills, the quick decision making from IG.
And that's the thing, no summoners for JDG's bot lane. If they had them, could have made all the difference, the cleanse, the flash, but they get the lockdown. The fact that they both have the mobility to go over the wall, and then they're able to find a play. Now, despite things going well early in the top lane for Zika, 369 is kind of mitigating some of that pressure, and with the Triforce in pocket, is doing pretty well so far, getting that tower chunked out. But still, JDG behind, but trying to find some pressure on the top side of the map and look for this second Herald of the game.
Kanavi already in the pit, is already starting it up as well, and no real response unless they want to move down. They are actually moving some bodies here, about half health on the Rift Herald as their eye gets popped, and Shun could go for it. Would be a full commit from IG, but I think JDG have a lot of tools to fight with, so given over as another neutral objective to JDG.
Yeah, but IG will respond quickly, and you know, typically the goal of the second Herald is to get mid tier 1, but IG will just take mid tier 1 without even needing the Herald. So nice play there from them to get something in return and keep pushing this gold lead now at 3,000. And this is the sort of momentum that they really needed to get this game going. And with Shun being so strong, it really gives me a lot more faith in how their team fights will play out.
They were actually looking for the skirmishing by going towards top after taking that mid tower, but realized, you know, nothing else is going to come of it. You go back to good graces, go back to farming. The reset comes out from the top side of the map for JDG. Oh, never mind. Stop. As they do want to try to take this outer tower.
Yeah, and the next objective to look for is that dragon would be third of the game. Either team could get the second. I think JDG just give it, if I'm going to be honest. I think you're not in a position to contest. Maybe lean top lane and try and take this top tier 1 in response.
Kanavi with missing. Looking for Mole. Wink is on his way up here, though. The tower getting so low. As 369 is coming in with the Mega Gnar. They could just knock it down with the pressure they have up here. You see Shun is just bolting it up here to the top side. Everfrost comes through the CC chain with the solar flare. And you get some damage down here, but the dude decided to get out in the end as On was on his way with Shun.
Yeah, you can see 369 was trying to get the demolish proc just to finish off the tower. Buys time, ultimately, but I think JDG are still going to get that tower, and IG will just start to lean their pressure down towards the dragon, which is, I'm going to be real, their bigger priority than just a tier 1 going down.
Very true. It's not that much. They will end up just letting it go. 369 missing will pick that up. Give a little bit more pressure towards this top side. Push one more wave for 369. That will need to be responded to by Mole. As the dragon's coming up in 5 seconds, as you said. It's kind of...
I will note that by them defending, it stops, you know, for example, JDG throwing down the Herald to get like a tier 2 as well, right? Because obviously Dragon was a while away. So I think it's a decent use of IG's time. And now they'll be able to lean onto this Dragon and pick that one up. And start moving towards, hopefully for them, a Hextech Soul.
He has soloed out Dragon. Okay, he's got a little health from Arm coming out here, but it's nice map pressure from IG, and especially, you know, making the decision.
It's actually quite a big thing that when your jungler's taking dragon, AD carries will often want to come over and just tap it, because if you're part of the assistance, then you know, like the legend runes, like Legend Bloodline, Legend Alacrity, you get like a full stack of those if you're part of it. So often you'll see like it's like, oh well, why is On hitting? He doesn't even need to be there. He doesn't need the help, but just hitting it that can give you like that extra stack towards those stats that you get from your runes. So if you're ever wondering why it looks like, you know, an AD carry will make that move over unnecessarily, that's why.
Love to hear it. Love the big brainness there as well. 369 was trying to catch Mole out, but he is an Ahri. Oh, Yagao's coming over here too, as Wink realizes what's coming. Some reinforcements for JDG, and the rest of JDG actually moving up this way as well. You do have Hope clearing out mid lane, but Kanavi has been, at least for the last little bit, attached to missing and roaming the jungle.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one of the powers of the Yuumi, is the fact that like Viego is quite safe at going aggressive because he has his ult to get him out. He has his camo, and by attaching with the Yuumi, you can just, you know, ward quite effectively without being punished. Now, so actually TP's in here, but it's spotted out immediately, and JDG are kind of left wondering, what were you trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, hey, at least they spotted out, realized it, and the sneakiness for Zika is I feel like that's one of those moments where you're like right behind like a really thin tree and he's like hiding behind it. You can obviously see he's there. It's like, you can't see me, right? You can't see me.
Yeah.
And you ever play hide and seek, Ox? You ever just randomly play hide and seek?
Do I ever run? Not for a few years. No, not for like 20 years.
Oh, well, a few years and 20 years are much different. But anyways,
yeah, you know, couple
20 years, couple decades, no big deal. No big deal.
Yeah, give or take. Been a while.
Hey, I can appreciate that. Everybody needs a good game of hide and seek. Zika might need to update his user manual. But anyways, we are looking at tower takes right now. 369 looking at the tier 2 in bottom lane, which is actually huge. But it is IG that get a tier 1 at least, or tier 2 rather, opposite ways around. And I love that you can see the pressure from 369.
Yeah, I mean, he is going to become a menace in the side lane. I mean, no, just so effective now. The fact that, you know, his W does percent HP, and obviously everyone's health got buffed. He is problematic. And that's honestly good for JDG. You know, we saw it was like a 3k gold lead before. It's now about 1,500. JDG are closing the gap. And obviously, the later the game goes, the less relevant, like, the same number of gold is, right? A 3k gold lead at 20 minutes is a lot less impactful than a 3k gold lead at 40 minutes. So JDG really clawing things back. which has me a bit concerned for IG, because they need to continue this momentum, especially as we're past the 20-minute mark. So this next dragon in a minute 45, undoubtedly both teams will contest. And if JDG stomp it, which, you know, bear in mind, they have so much like forward momentum in fights. If you get a kill, reset, you know? And if they get a very favorable fight, they will instantly transition into a Baron, and IG will probably lose the game from there. So they really have to take this next fight seriously. All that work you've done so far is basically meaningless if you lose the game or you lose this next fight, and it really just puts a spanner in the works.
Yeah, exactly. Gnar ulti is actually down now for 369 as he needs to get away there. Ultra Spark Laser coming out of the defense, but that's just tier 2 tower down and IG out.
Yeah, IG just grouping up and finding this opportunity. JDG not in a position to respect, and you know, 369 builds ult, but it's just a short cooldown. It'll be back up again. It's not really a concern. But IG taking that window, apply some pressure and burn away that objective. Now, I like this ward here outside the pit. Often when you're warding at objectives, putting wards in, I mean, that's not exactly the most creative spot, but putting wards in creative spots you don't expect is a good way of not having them swept out, right? Because typically the standard warding spots are like the optimal place to give you vision of an area, but they're also going to get swept or control warded every single time. So you just kind of want to slip a ward in somewhere where it won't get picked off. But for now, the focus is going to be on this dragon. And IG are very, very late. Bear in mind, it's 20 seconds to go. JDG are pushing mid, and the rest of them are coming out of base. This is good for JDG.
They got got hex gates. That's what they'll use to get behind JDG if they want to. They're trying to push out mid lane, get some of that priority. 369 already in Gnar form. It's really falling off, and now IG are moving in with 4 from the mid lane, with the mole waiting on the side, trying to catch out 369. 369 doesn't know. He misses the charm, though. That's huge. Everfrost comes through. They're focusing on the top laner of JDG. Here comes the rest of JDG. They're just getting duped. They're getting turned around on. The final chapter does nothing, but that's a big, nice combo for JDG. Is now they're trying to get the resets up, but they just can't find it. Their fights are so sporadic. 369 he's about to get Gnar up again. He has the Gnar ulti as well, but he eventually falls, and missing will go down as well. This is just sloppy fighting from JDG, and IG capitalized.
It was so close, you feel like, from 369, but just JDG couldn't connect. They were so scattered. At IG, it kind of feels like they picked them apart. The fact that they were grouped up together made it work. JDG get the dragon, but IG have already started up this Baron. 6 seconds, 5 seconds on Yagao, and he can't TP the minions, but I think it's going to be gone. It's too late. So IG get everything they want. Half on the dragon, but they will take that.
They will absolutely take that. 4,000 gold in the lead down. 369 just walking in there without Gnar just having come off. Does get caught out there, but Kanavi just walks past 3 members of IG saying, "No, hey guys, don't worry about me. I'm just gonna walk by."
It's so scattered and split, and Kanavi ults into the stopwatch and then just is unable to join the fight because he didn't get a reset. And 369 is trying to make this happen, trying to go for this huge play against all of them, but eventually just gets shut down. And look at all the low health bars, man. It's so frustrating. I feel like Kanavi really misplayed that fight, but all of JDG completely split. That was winnable. That was winnable if they just played it correctly, I have to say.
Yep, but IG, hey, that's the beauty of it. You capitalize on a moment like that, you make them look silly, and they can take this game. 5,000 gold, just a little bit less, though, in the lead for IG. They have Baron, but for 2 minutes, they can make lasting damage if 369 doesn't kill Zika. He's about to get turned on by all 5 members of IG. And we'll see them all collapse here. TP in. They're under tower, though. You got to be a little bit careful for IG, as now 369 is already down. The rest of the engage from JDG is there, but On has been excited this whole time, and the double souls comp ain't doing anything. Hope is the only one alive from JDG, and he's about to get turned around if he doesn't get out of there.
Yeah, it was actually really unfortunate because Yagao killed 2 people, and Kanavi didn't get to touch them. So Kanavi didn't get a reset, and so he was stuck in the middle like, what do I do, guys? And on charge, just DPSing away on the backline. Hope trying to do his best to poke out, but I think you just have to give up this bot inhibitor. I'm not sure you can defend this. You might just get jumped on. We'll see. Missing his back up again, and maybe you can actually turn around.
Getting a little bit of damage. On has excited now. Doesn't decide to go in on it as he sees missing joined late.
Oh, this is 369
here. He is coming in. They're going to start the backs. They're going to catch this out. No way. 900 gold straight to the pocket there of 369, and they're chasing. They're going. Solar Flare comes through. They know they're there. On just trying to back them away. Wink, you got to save your ADC. Nobody can save Wink, though, and nobody can save their ADC. 369, they throw the football to IG, but then they tackle him and take it right back.
There's the overstay and so much gold handed over. We'll see the replay of that fight from before. And this is the unfortunate moment that really comes out because they commit so heavily onto both 369 and missing. But watch this. Yagao comes in, instantly deletes these two with the ultimate. And then we see Kanavi, no reset. He didn't hit them. He doesn't get the immunity. He doesn't get a second charge of ultimate. It's actually so unfortunate because if Yagao hadn't killed them and they were just healthy enough for Kanavi to ult, that would have been a much better fight. But yeah, sad times for JDG, obviously positive for IG, but then the fact that we get that answer back, both 369 and Hope getting massive shutdowns really keeps them in this game. And the fact that, you know, as much as they lost the Baron, the fact they secured the Dragon means IG is still a long way away from the Soul. Like, Baron is a lot of power now, but you know, the fact that the Dragon lasts all game, it sets you up for the threat of Soul, and the fact that JDG denied that is really big.
Biggest difference maker right now is the gold gap between Shun and Kanavi, but I think you're looking at some of those scaling factors for both sides, actually. And obviously 3.5 items for On is pretty good for a Jinx. We've seen so many times in the LPL how many carry moments we've seen for Jinxes, but you've got to look at the JDG roster and especially the champions they picked and look at some of the potentials. But again, if we get plays like we saw in, you know, the IG blue side, then IG can easily continue to close out this game. But JDG have actually woken up a little bit here.
Yeah, and it's now 50 seconds till this next Dragon. The goal lead is relatively small considering the point of the game we're at. And this could well be another big fight coming out between them. JDG kind of be missed. Ooh, Kanavi.
A little bit rough, and Kanavi, he gets out of there barely. 369 about to have Gnar. He wants to go in, only gets one. He needs to get out. He is taken. No, he flashes, and they're following. But Mole is caught now. Hope is just firing away, and they've got so much damage with Kanavi. Here comes Yagao on the side. Ultra Shock Laser from the heavens, and every hope that's ever existed for JDG exists in this game. That was huge.
And IG, they risked leaving Zeri open. Zeri with Yuumi as well. The 3-item spike, the burst potential. That laser just shut down so many of IG's hopes in this game. And now JDG can make some big damage onto the base and pick up that third Dragon of the game.
Oh my goodness, I'm just getting reminiscing memories from Series 1 where we saw literally one game, like one fight turn it all around, and JDG, they hoped damage in that fight. Like, I hope we get to see Hope's damage in that one because that is actually crazy, but it starts off like this.
Let's explain the issues with this fight. So firstly, they're committing onto these very hard to kill members, both of them with mobility, both of them very tanky, and then they follow up here into this choke, and Hope decides this is his time to shine. A bunch of them are over the wall, unable to help, so they actually all commit. Aren't even flashes in, but this is a terrible spot. Not only is it a choke, an easy spot for the laser, 800 damage on the two members. The Yuumi on top means you're hard to challenge, and yeah, IG did not need to commit to the fight, and that flub puts them in an uncomfortable spot, and you can tell they're uncomfortable because they're looking to do a Baron as soon as it spawns.
I mean,
on vision, by the way, Scuttlecrab sees them.
Yeah, you're getting TPs coming. Kanavi is here. He can look for a steal, but the Baron's already gone. They could try to go for a fight afterwards, though. You got the engage coming through from Yagao. He tries to go in. He goes goal. Actually gets the frozen tomb off there as the damage on the backline, though. That's huge for IG. Hope is still firing away. Hope flashes forward, but Hope gets scissored down. And IG find it right back. And now they're TPing in.
Yeah, this might be enough just to end the game. I mean, IG make the Baron call. I felt like it looked desperate, but it works. And then JDG contests them. Hope in melee range of the Gwen. 30-second death timers. This should be it. IG This game was a back and forth. I tell you that much, Mazel, but they should just close it out here.
You like American football? Because that's what we're watching right now. It's just throws back and forth, and then the ending culmination is IG capitalizing on the overextension of JDG and just outright ending the game. On is excited, and so am I. We're going to 3, baby, and IG fight back.
IG, it was not clean, but they managed to find the windows. I feel like, you know, you're disheartened after you got bodied in that fight by Hope, and then you managed to find the Baron angle. I was like, this looks desperate, but the DPS was there, and the turn was available too. The Gwen was suddenly stepping up huge at the end, and, you know, we said game 1, there was one fight and it was over. Game 2 kind of feels like there's just this big fight, boom, done.
I will say, we called out Shun in game 1 for getting bodied. Kanavi got absolutely bodied that game. Like, his presence, yes, there were some moments that were kind of interesting, but in every fight, it was always defensive heartbreakers. He wasn't able to find the resets. He got massively, 3-4 deaths early on in the game, and I think this jungle matchup has been so crucial. He got the early advantage. Yes, Shun died, giving over a big advantage. That's kind of how 369 were able to pilot themselves back into it. But this jungle matchup has been absolute cornerstone for this series.
100%. I mean, I feel like whoever gets the edge there gives them the pace in the game, gives them that advantage. But the team fights as well have been pretty instrumental. And IG, the fact that they managed to fight back, I feel like if I got one shot by that Zeri, I would be ready to call it. So the fact that they hold on, the fact that they managed to sort of maintain form, reassess, find the angle, make the decisive Baron call. And again, you know, I'm going to criticize myself here. I called it desperate. I said, oh, this feels like, you know, they're in a comfortable spot. They have to force the Baron. No. They just looked for the window into the game. That is a gold graph and a half.
We've had so many good ones.
Back.
We've had so many good gold graphs tonight. It's been actually incredible.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. And just when JDG see the sun, instantly they plunge back into darkness. And Sheer Hope did a ton of damage, but there's a lot of things that didn't work this game. Kanavi, very underwhelming match. Yagao, the counter matchup didn't. There was a couple of moments, but for the most part, didn't show up. And you saw the potential of what Hope and Missing can do, but it just feels like it wasn't enough. And I heavily favored JDG's draft coming out, but Shun made this work for the team.
Yeah, it's all about execution at the end of the day, and JDG just weren't able to do it. But it's tried and true fashion. We're going to 3 when JDG are involved. And see, as you know, we look at the rest of the stats for this second game of the series. It's heavily preference towards Shun as he got rolling early and definitely snowballed, but I think On able to cement the win in those last little fights. The damage, the DPS that was coming out from the Jinx, not something to kind of look away from.
100%. I mean, they had the opportunity, the angles to find it right at the end to solidify everything together. And that's all it takes when you have, you know, like I said, there's a lot of momentum on the side of JDG with things like the Viego and the Lissandra. If you get the resets, it's going to push you forwards. But ultimately, they didn't get the resets, and Jinx works in a similar way. You get excited, you start to go ham.
Yeah, that I was going to say, like, I wanted to get a name for the combo by the end of the series or by the end of the game. I don't know if it deserves it at that point. I want to see it actually perform before we give it a name. But we will be right back. We're going to take a little break, and then right afterwards, we have the culmination of this series, the third game.